everyone, my name is Leah and welcome back to my channel. You may notice that I am wearing different glasses than usual. That is because in the midst of filming my Halloween reading vlog, my glasses just randomly broke. So now I'm wearing my backup glasses, but now I don't have any backup glasses if these glasses break anytime soon, and also I have an updated prescription anyway, so I needed to get new glasses soon. So I will hopefully be getting new glasses soon, so y'all will probably see those in the next couple of weeks. Today I'm going to be doing my November TBR, which I'm excited about, and first up is I'm going to pick something from my TBR jar. I only started the TBR jar a couple months ago, but for the first time I don't have to also still read last month's pick in addition to this month's pick, because in October I finished October's pick and September's pick, so go me. Hopefully I will be able to do that again in November. So now I get to get rid of 2 entries in the TBR jar. Alright, let's see what I'm going to be reading this month. I'm going to try to dig in there, swish around so I don't just get one that's on top. Alright, I picked I Am Malala. Let's show that to the camera. Let me get that off the shelf. So I have the autobiography I Am Malala, and when I bought this I accidentally bought the large print edition, which is not what I meant to do. So it has very large text, which I guess means I might get through it quicker, but this is not what I meant to buy. I did not mean to buy the large print edition. I don't know how that happened, but I actually don't tend to do well with nonfiction unless it's an audiobook. So I might actually look and see if one of my library apps has the audiobook and try to read it that way. But I don't know, maybe I'll be able to read this. But I think just in case I can't get my hands on the audiobook, I'm going to go ahead and pick one more thing from the TBR jar, but if I get to this, I'm not going to require myself to also get to that book. Not that I've always gotten to the books that I pick from my TBR jar. So we're going to pick one more thing. And the other thing that I picked is Authority, which I am actually technically currently reading, though I'm not actively currently reading it. I got a good chunk of the way into it and just never continued. And this is by Jeff Vandermeer. It's the sequel to Annihilation, which I read earlier this year. And you can see I got a pretty good chunk of the way in, but I might have to restart from the beginning because I remember vague things, but not much. So if I end up reading this, I think I might have to restart, which I am not a fan of. Alright, we've got the TBR jar picks, now on to the rest of my TBR. First up is the Bibliophiles book club pick for November, which if you didn't know is a book club that I am in and that I will link all of the information for down below. And we are reading Alotsoe by Darcy Little Badger, which I am very excited for. And our live show for this is on December 5th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. This is a YA fantasy with an indigenous and asexual main character, and I am just so excited to pick this up. Also, the cover is gorgeous. And look at the naked cover. It's so beautiful. It has wolves. Then the next book is another book club pick. This is for RC's Cardigan Comics Club book club, and I'll link all the information for that down below also. And that is This Place 150 Years Retold. And RC's live show for this, I believe, is November 20th at 7 p.m. EST. I will double check on that and put a different time up on the screen if it's different. And this is a graphic novel anthology full of indigenous creators, and I'm really excited to read it. Also, a lot of people have been able to find this place on their Hoopla. If you have Hoopla, that's a really great resource for being able to read it, and that's where I'm going to end up reading it. Next is the last book I'm going to be reading for a book club, and this is for Chanel's Krusty Club book club, and that is Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. I've been meaning to read this for years and just never picked it up, so I'm really glad that Chanel's book club is doing it, because this gives me a push to actually finally read this book, because I've owned it for quite a while now. I feel like I may have gotten slightly spoiled for this just because I've never seen the movie, but a lot of like quotes for the movie and like images from the movie were kind of all over the internet for a while and still kind of are, so I feel like I may have been spoiled for some of the twists in this book, but I'm still looking forward to reading it, and this will also be my first time reading Gillian Flynn. The next thing that I'm reading is Who I Was With Her by Nita Tyndall, which I'm so excited for, and I'm buddy reading this with my friend Isa. This is sapphic, and it just has such a nice pink cover. I love it so much. Also, the inside is like this nice purple color. It's just It's so pretty. This is a YA contemporary that follows a girl named Corinne who has a secret girlfriend and is also bisexual but hasn't told anyone that she's bi. And this becomes even more difficult to deal with after her girlfriend dies, and she has to kind of deal with her grief by herself because no one knows that they were dating. I'm really looking forward to reading this, though I do feel like it's probably going to make me cry. Then the next thing I'm reading is Changeless by Gail Carriger, which is the second book in her Parasol Protectorate series. Nicole over at Nicole and Her Books has a Discord for reading books by female adult fantasy authors, and I'm in that Discord, and we read the first book in this series, Loveless, last month, and so now we're reading Changeless this month, and I'm really excited because the first book was just like a bunch of fun. And I'll link the information for that Discord down below if you want to join it. This series is like a supernatural steampunk historical romance combo. It's so many genres combined. It takes place in Victorian England. It's just like a fun time. And there's vampires and werewolves, and also ghosts have been mentioned, though they didn't really feature as much in the first book. So I'm hoping that some more ghosts will appear in this book and later books in this series because I'm intrigued as to how they feature in the world in this series. The next book that I'm planning on reading, I think I'm going to read via audio, and that's The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. I have been trying to get into thrillers lately, so I'm glad that I'm also reading Gone Girl, but I haven't really found any that I've totally loved so far, but I haven't read any Ruth Ware yet, and I've heard really good things about her book, so I'm really hoping that I like this. Also, if you've read the audio of this, let me know if the audio is good, because if it is, I'm definitely going to read this via audio. Honestly, I don't know that much about the plot. I don't really plan on looking anything else up beforehand because I want to be surprised since it's a thriller, and I'm looking forward to this, especially because I'm going to be buddy reading this with Cindy. I'm also planning on participating in a readathon, the Clear Your Shit readathon, that's about taking care of books on your physical TBR, which I have a lot of, so this is the perfect readathon for me. I will link all the information for that down below, and I haven't really come up with a concrete TBR for that because I want to try to work around what I was already planning on reading. Also, I'm kind of a mood reader, so I want to kind of just find books that fit the prompts. So I don't really have any specific books for this month on my TBR for that readathon. I just have one that I'm definitely going to be reading for that, and that's for the prompt shortest book on your TBR, and for that I have Hidden by Helen Frost, which I don't really remember that much about. I know it's in verse. I think it's about girls who were kidnapped. That's all I can tell you about this book right now. I've probably had this for like 3 or 4 years and haven't read it, but it'll be a quick read because it's short and it's in verse, so that's good. So now we are getting to books that I was supposed to read in October. So here's the thing, I'm bad at sticking to TBRs. If you've been watching me for a little while, you know that. I'm definitely not going to get to all of the books that I mentioned in this video, but I'm going to plan on it, and that's where we're at. I will plan on finishing these. I definitely won't finish all of these, especially because this is an overambitious TBR, as usual, and I want to include all the books I'm currently reading and the books that I was supposed to read in October. Now, this isn't going to include all of the books that were on my TBR in October that I didn't get to. There's a book that was on my TBR that I actually decided to unhaul, and there was another book on my TBR that I actually DNF'd, and also there was a book or two I didn't get to that I just don't think I will be getting to super soon, so I don't plan on having those on my November TBR. But there are a bunch of books that were on my October TBR. Actually, some of these were on my September TBR and I still haven't read them, but now they're going on the November TBR. And since I've talked about them before, I'm just going to go through them really quickly. I'm not really going to talk about the plot or anything in depth. First up, we've got An Ember in the Ashes by Saba Tahir. I tweeted on, I think, September 19th, and I was like, I've been saying every day that I'm going to start An Ember in the Ashes, and I still haven't started it. It is now November, and I have not started it. That was a month and a half ago. And then a couple days later, I retweeted it again with a comment from one of my friends that was like, Leah, have you started Ember yet? Because that was my friend Reagan, because I was supposed to buddy read this with Reagan. Reagan has finished the book. I have not started it. That is where we're at. Then we've got Jane Unlimited by Kristen Kishore. I am supposed to buddy read this with my friend Erin. Hopefully that'll happen this month, because it hasn't happened yet. Also, this is very shiny. I'm sorry if the reflectiveness is distracting. Then we've got The Bear and the Nightingale, which I'm supposed to buddy read with my friend Val. At least this one's kind of short. Then we've got Loveless by Alice Oseman, which, again, I'm supposed to buddy read with someone. I love buddy reading, but sometimes I slightly fail at them, or just they don't happen when they're supposed to. I'm supposed to buddy read this with Izza, who I'm also reading, who I was with her with. Then we've got The Lost Coast by Amy Rose Capetta, which I am buddy reading with Cindy, and I can say for sure I will get to this one this month because I have started it already. Cindy and I have both started this. We're only a little bit of the ways in, but I'm going to read this month. Then we've got Beartown by Frederick Bachman. And lastly, we've got We Free Men by Terry Pratchett. And those are all the books I was supposed to read in October that are now on my November TBR. So here's the thing. Then we've got the books that I'm currently reading. And if you watched my video about all the books that I have marked as currently reading on Goodreads, you know I'm currently reading a lot of books. I'm not going to list all of those here. You can watch that video if you want to know. Though a few of them have changed now because I finished some of the books on there and I have also added new books to it. So I think it's like slightly fewer books now, but it's about the same. But these are the books that I'm like actively currently reading. So I mentioned earlier I wasn't currently actively reading Authority, but it is on my Goodreads currently reading, so like that wouldn't have been included if I hadn't picked it from the TBR jar. But these are books that I am supposedly actively currently reading, even though some of them I have not touched in over a month. But I'm like, in my mind, I am actively currently reading them, want to get to them soon. First up, we've got Lord of Shadows. Reagan and I have been buddy reading this for quite a while and it's just taking me forever to get through. I also don't know if I've read any of this in like a month. I need to try to read another chapter soon. It's just such an endeavor. These chapters are so long. Then we've got Heartless by Marissa Meyer. Sorry, the cover is off. I took the dust jacket off, but the inside is also very cool. I was going to read this for a readathon. That did not end up happening. I got like a chapter in, I think, and then didn't touch it for like 2 weeks and haven't touched it again. So hopefully I will get to this soon. Then we've got Before the Devil Breaks You by Loba Bray, which I don't think I've touched in over a month. Then we've got The Bone Witch, which I am actually like currently reading. I only started this a couple days ago. I started it on Halloween and read a good chunk of it in my Halloween reading vlog, but didn't end up finishing it, and I will definitely be finishing this month. Then we've got The Fifth Season, which I have not touched in over a month. And since this is like a dense, complicated adult fantasy, I'm like, am I gonna have to start over? But also RC loves this book and I think he remembers a lot about it, so I might just be like, RC, tell me what happens in the first 6 chapters because I don't want to reread. I really don't want to reread. And then we've got The Elusive Little Women, which I started reading in July. Well, okay, technically I started reading this in January, and then I never finished it and I went and saw the movie. And then in July I started reading it again, but I started from the beginning because I didn't remember the beginning, so I like restarted reading it in July. But if we're being technical, I started reading this in January. Yeah, I have been on page 777 for a while. I have not picked this up in over a month. I need to finish this book before the end of the year. I actually have to finish this book before the end of the year because one of the prompts for the readathon I mentioned earlier is oldest publication year, and I think this is the oldest publication year in my physical TBR. So I have to read this by December 27th because that's the last day of that readathon. So those are all of the books on my November TBR. I'm already going to say right now, I'm not getting to all of those in November. There is no way I will get to every single one of those books in November. I don't know how many I'll get to. Hopefully I'll do better than I did on my October TBR. I'll try to post my October wrap-up relatively soon so you can see how well I did on that TBR. Well, I mean, you can kind of see from all the books that were on my October TBR that are on this, it wasn't well. I did a lot of reading in October, but not as much off my TBR as I wanted to. There's also 1 or 2 books I like really want to try to get to, but I don't think I'm going to put as like official books on my TBR because, as you can see, I already have a very ambitious TBR, so I probably won't get to them. And also both of them are adult fantasy, and I want to try to finish the 5th season before I read any other like super dense adult fantasy. I don't really count Changeless as that, even though it is adult fantasy, because it's more of like a historical urban fantasy rather than a high fantasy, and I can kind of like separate those in my mind, so I don't mind reading a high fantasy and like that at the same time technically. But I don't want to start another adult high fantasy while I'm still reading 5th season. But those 2 books I really want to try to get to sometime soon, so if they don't end up getting read in November, they will definitely be on my December TBR, are The Poppy War and Black Sun, which I just got in the mail like yesterday. Also, The Poppy War, I've been meaning to read for a while. I feel like everyone has already read The Poppy War, and I haven't, but I need to read it. So maybe I will end up reading one or both of these this month? I don't know. But they're not like official books on the TBR, they're just like, I'm putting them out there as options. Not that I won't read books that aren't on my TBR, because that'll end up happening no matter what. But yeah, that is my like disjointed November TBR. Also, I forgot I wanted to show y'all I have this like TBR box now, which I'm very excited about. It has like a blackboard panel I can write in chalk on. You can see on the front I wrote in chalk for my October TBR, which I need to erase that now. I was inspired to have a box like this by RC, so thank you, RC. Also, if you're interested, I got this at Michael's. But yeah, that is my overambitious, chaotic November TBR. If you have read any of these and really think I will enjoy them, let me know. Also, if you're interested in reading any of these, let me know. I'd love to hear from y'all about what you think of these books and my overambitious TBR. If you've made it this far in the video, let's say leave a blue heart emoji, because this flannel is, I guess it's more like shades of teal rather than blue, but we're gonna say blue. Leave a blue heart if you got to this point in the video. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you want to see more videos from me. Thank y'all so much for watching, and I'll see you later. Oh no, I dropped something already. Because I finished October's pick, and what's before October? Oh, I just picked too many things out. Oh, now I dropped 2 things. I need a burp. Excuse me.